If you're neurodivergent, in particular ADHD, and you really struggle with setting and achieving your goals, then keep watching because this video is for you. I'm Nikki Butler, also known as the Autistic Joyologist, and I was diagnosed autistic and ADHD in my mid-40s, and prior to that had over a decade career in a legal management role, and I've been an entrepreneur now for over 10 years running multiple businesses. And something I always struggled with was setting, prioritising and achieving my goals. Things tend to happen in this huge last minute flurry, and often I'd get off on side quests or sidetracked doing things that weren't relevant, making that path to achieving my goals so much more difficult. But here's something that I've come to realise and understand since my diagnosis. Now, I really struggle with the concept of time and managing time. And it's often talked about in the realms of ADHD in terms of lateness and referred to as time blindness. But I want to give you something else to think about in terms of setting your goals and achieving them. And you might look at it as time blindness or time optimism, which I often refer to it as, or just an inability to really understand how to assess a goal or a task and how long that's going to take. So if you struggle with processing time, maybe you're somebody that thinks about now or not now in terms of time, which is certainly something I can relate to, then when somebody says to you, how long will it take you to achieve a goal, or how long will it take you to achieve a specific task, that can feel like an impossible question to answer and can actually be a root cause of procrastination, of delaying starting something, and it leaves us in this limbo and this almost paralysis of not being able to move forward because we can't assess how long something is going to take. And the reality is that how long a specific task is going to take may very well depend on your energy and focus at that time. I don't know about you, but I can certainly achieve almost a week's worth of work in a few hours if I'm in hyper-focus mode and my energy levels are really high. And equally, that same task might take me days, weeks, months, or not be achieved at all if I'm really struggling with my focus and energy at that point. So something that I found really helpful is when I have my goals, so personally, I have really clear 3-year goals for things that I want to achieve. I then have a goal that I want to achieve for 12 months that's aligned to my 3-year plan. And then I break it into quarters. So in order to hit the 12-month goal, what do I need to do each quarter to help me get there? And then I break it down into a month. So this month, what do I need to focus on to get a third of that quarterly goal achieved? I'm not somebody that can sit down and have a list of tasks and work on a daily basis, 9 to 5, and just tick things off a list. That doesn't work for me, and the thought of that causes that paralysis and feels like this huge weight, which inevitably means nothing gets done. So something I found really effective is when I know what I need to achieve for the month, I brainstorm and I write down all of the tasks that I need to get done or the actions I need to take in order to keep me moving forward. So you don't need to be perfect. Think directionally correct. Are your actions taking you in the right direction to achieving your longer term goals? So I'll brainstorm all of those ideas of the tasks that I need to complete in a month, and I either put them on post-it notes or more commonly these days, because I don't like wasting paper, I put them on a big whiteboard. So a huge list of goals and tasks and action points for that month. And then what I do on a daily basis is I'll look at my whiteboard and I will think about the time I have available at that time. I'll think about my energy and my focus, and I will pick maybe one action for that day, maybe 3 or 4. And then I just wipe them off the whiteboard as I have achieved them. For me, that's a real dopamine high because the list is getting smaller. For me, ticking things off a list visually doesn't really do it for me, but I know many, many people that works for. But I like to wipe them off so I can see less and less on the board, and I aim to have a clear board by the end of the month. But it really means that whatever I pick on each day, whether it's 1, 2, 5 tasks, I know they're all moving me in the right direction to achieving my goals. I don't have to think about whether something's going to take me 10 minutes or 20 minutes or an hour. I just pick the tasks and I do it. And that way it frees up my mental space to be able to just get into the flow and get work done as I can. I also give myself grace if I'm feeling absolutely wiped out and I can't do something on some days, because that can also be the challenge for many of us who are neurodivergent, that we have these huge surges of energy and hyperfocus where we can feel like we're wired up to the electric grid and get an incredible amount of work done. But on the other side of that, it can bring days where or weeks even, where you just barely feel you can string a sentence or a thought together, let alone achieve anything big. And so by allowing yourself to pick and choose and giving yourself some grace if you are feeling overwhelmed or burnt out or exhausted, you need to allow yourself some time to step back. Because I think one of the big challenges is if we keep pushing ourselves forward and we have, a set of things we want to do every single day and we're forcing ourselves to keep going no matter what, we are inevitably pushing ourselves towards overwhelm and potentially a burnout. So by giving yourself the option to choose your task, by allowing yourself time to step back, have time off and recalibrate, you're going to maximise your potential and what you're able to achieve. Now, one thing I would say to you is if you are noticing that you are getting overwhelmed, please, please, please make time to rest, recover, rebalance, because you can't ignore burnout. Just by pretending it's not happening doesn't mean it will stop it. You will inevitably get there, and it will take you much longer to recover if you let yourself go into a full burnout. So be aware of those early signs, manage your energy and your focus, but bring in those tasks that you know you can cope with on that day. One day it might simply be an email or connecting with somebody that you want to bring into your network that'll take you 2 minutes. All of it is moving you in the right direction. So I really hope that helps in terms of thinking about how you might set goals and achieve goals, particularly if you're somebody that really struggles with processing and assessing time. And if you deal in the now and not now, and you just don't know how to allocate or assess how long something's going to take, that approach takes that away from you, and it gives you the flexibility to work with what's happening for you on each day. And it can also be beneficial if you can bring somebody else in to support you, whether it's an accountability buddy, whether it's a friend, a colleague, or you might work with a coach. If you need someone to help you look at your longer term goals, perhaps your 3-year goal, look at what you want to achieve in 12 months, then quarterly, then monthly, sometimes that can be really helpful. And it's certainly something that I utilise. I often brain dump everything that I want to achieve, and I am hugely excited to have all these big ideas, but I don't always know how to sort them out in that moment. And so when I do that, if I talk to somebody on my team or a peer, I can go through and kind of go, that's what I want to achieve in 3 years and 12 months roughly, but how do I piece together what I need to do over the course of the next 4 quarters and then monthly to achieve that goal? And just by talking it through with somebody else can also be incredibly powerful. The other thing that is worth mentioning here is buddying or body doubling. So that's become more and more popular. A lot of people like body doubling, which is where essentially you're working with somebody else at the same time and you are copying, you're working in tandem with each other. That can be really motivating and helpful if you struggle to get started with tasks, that if you have somebody else that you're working alongside, it gives you a buddy, a partner to work with, and can be really motivating and supportive. So always think about what's going to work for you. Forget what you see other people doing, forget what you think you're allowed, and really start to dig deep and think about how important are your goals to you. Really connecting with your why is going to be essential, because if you can get to that real root cause, that real why is this goal important and what will it mean for you, that will motivate you to keep going. And often when we set goals that are not aligned to our values or not aligned to what we really want, that's when it becomes really, really challenging. So please choose goals that you love. But think about what is going to help you achieve those goals and put that support structure in place. Allow yourself some flexibility to work with your energy and focus. Allow yourself time to relax and step away if you need to. Give yourself permission to do that. Really, really hope that helps. It's certainly something that I have struggled with in terms of processing time, and just having this new approach has meant that I've achieved far more than I ever did through my corporate career with much less stress, and I feel far more in balance and happier as I'm doing it. Really, really hope that helps, and I'll see you very soon.